What's going on, everybody? My name is Fausto, or you can call me Ace. Today we're going to do a deep dive into the Denver Broncos, and I'm also going to talk very briefly about the Buccaneers' new uniforms, which I'm extremely excited about. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
I don't know why I feel like I've known you for a while. Oh no, yeah.
All right, so of course, first things first, I want to do a huge shout out for my boy Vicious Saucy for all the music that you hear. If you like any of the music, you can check them out in the description or at the end of the video. And once again, thank you so much. All right. So first, I want to go ahead and touch on the uniforms. I'm beyond excited. I love that they brought back the 02 era. I'm not going to put up a picture. If you want to check them out, you can go look them up. You can find the hype video, all that stuff. There's plenty of coverage on them right now. I don't know if there's copyrights. I don't want to take the risk, but I'm not going to put up a picture. But they're beautiful. They look just like our 02 Super Bowl jerseys. And then we got a really sick all pewter one for our color rush. I think they look amazing. I love the number. I love the black piping on the pewter, or I'm sorry, the red piping on the pewter ones. I think they look friggin' amazing, and I'm thrilled to death to see our team in them. I mean, there's a lot of players on this team that have never worn our Super Bowl jerseys, and so I'm really excited. But let's go ahead and jump right into this deep dive on the Denver Broncos. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is what I saw from the pass rush. The pass rush got off to a pretty slow start from what I could see. I think they didn't get their first sack until about the third game. They had a really slow start in the pass rush. I think, realistically, the whole defensive line got pretty good pressure, but for whatever reason, they weren't getting sacks, and they weren't really disrupting the other team's passing really at all from what I could see. Now, keep in mind, I only watched the highlights. I didn't go through and watch every game, but I watched the highlights, and, from what I could tell, they got decent pressure to start with, but outside of that, they didn't really do much until about the third game, and then they started to pick up. Miller and Chubb, they started really doing their thing, and they were making their moves and stuff like that, and the pass rush looked to be all right. As far as the linebackers looked pretty good. I mean, honestly, they had pretty good vision. They got to the ball carrier. In the run game, they did well, but not great. They actually gave up a lot of big runs from what I saw, and really just runs in general. They were giving up what looked like a lot of rushing attempts and a lot of good runs too. I mean, confidence building runs. So that wasn't great. And then they always, every single game, they gave up a big play in the secondary, a big play, and it didn't matter who they gave it up to. If it was the running back, after the running back got through the first level, he was making guys miss in the second level. And then they were also giving up a lot of big plays to not even great receivers, just any receiver that was open. They left guys open all the time. I don't know if it was communication. I'm not sure what the reasoning was, but it was bad. And it was every single game they gave up a big play to the receivers, to the offense. But moving to the offensive side of the ball, they looked pretty good. They went through three quarterbacks. Flacco, truthfully, I agree with the switch. I think they definitely should have switched from Flacco. I don't think he's got it anymore, in my opinion. So I 100% agree with the switch. But I didn't see anything that really warranted a switch. Now, like I said, I only watched the highlights, so he might have been worse in general. But from what I saw in the highlights, he looked all right. I mean, he was hitting the open guys. His passes seemed to be on target. But hey, I know he got. I believe he did get injured, and that's what led to. I believe it's Brandon Allen was the first person to replace him, and then eventually Drew Lock replaced him. Now, speaking on Drew Lock, he looked amazing. Now, Drew Lock looks like the real deal for that team. So, obviously, I 100% agree Drew Lock should be their starter going forward. Without question, he's the starter. The receivers, they were great. I have no idea, none whatsoever, why they traded Emmanuel Sanders. I don't know if they couldn't afford him anymore. I have no idea. Everything I saw from him, he looked great. Like I said, I only watched the highlights, but he looked fantastic to me. So I don't know what the reasoning behind trading him was. I mean, he looked like the guy. I mean, all three quarterbacks ended up completing passes to him, I believe. I'm pretty sure Drew Lock got at least one game with him. But, I mean, he was everybody's go-to. He was in, I think he had like 8 touchdowns when he was traded, which is crazy to me that they would trade somebody with 8 touchdowns. But he definitely had at least 5 or 6. I mean, he was all over the field, scoring touchdowns. So I don't agree at all with them trading him. But hey, I mean, whatever. And then the running game was amazing. That was easily one of the bright spots of the team, was the run game. Phillip Lindsay is an incredible running back, and he looked every bit of it. I mean, why they picked up Melvin Gordon, I'll never understand. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Other channels have covered that. It makes no sense to me. It's not even a good contract. They got him at like a weird contract, like 2 years, $16 million. That's too much for a guy you don't need, So I don't agree with that. Cortland Sutton was amazing, absolutely amazing. I think their wide receiver core is great. I don't have any complaints with their receiving core at all. And then the blocking up front seemed fine to me. I mean, they didn't really give up too many sacks. I think, they were pretty much able to do what they wanted to in the passing game. So, I mean, overall, they looked great. I mean, they, obviously lost a lot of games, but they didn't lose them by very much. So I think what they have to build on is pretty good. Drew Lock is definitely the person to build around. Phillip Lindsay is definitely going to anchor the backfield. And then the receiving core is great. Now, I think they should definitely target somebody receiving-wise in the draft because, they got rid of Emmanuel Sanders for no reason. So they're definitely going to need his replacement. So definitely a receiver. I don't know who. I don't have any suggestions in that regards. I'm not real big on the draft, and I don't really follow college, so I don't know the players like that. But I think a wide receiver is definitely a need, and then obviously the secondary had some problems, so definitely a DB. Outside of that, I don't know what else. I don't know what the rest of their needs are, but just those are some things I saw. They might maybe some help at linebacker because, like I said, they gave up a lot in the run game. But other than that, they looked really good. I think they've made pretty good moves in the offseason aside from the Melvin Gordon thing. I understand that he turned down other offers to stay in his division, which is stupid, but his decision. Anyhow, I think they looked good this last year. Obviously the record didn't turn out probably how they wanted to, but I mean overall I think they played pretty good. They had some really crummy games. They lost some really crummy games. There was one where they lost. I think they ended up losing 2 games by like 1 point or like 3 points. They lost some really crummy games, and then they won some pretty surprising games too. So they definitely have a team this year. This coming season, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do in the draft, and I'm excited to see what that team's going to look like for next year. So. Yeah, that's basically my thoughts on the Broncos 2019 season, where I thought they looked good, where I thought they didn't look good, and what I think they should do with the with in the off season and what they've already done in the off season. But I'm going to sign off, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Feeling like a crash dummy. I feel like my life is getting real ugly. Tryna figure out what you want from me. All I really wanted was some company. Now I'm drinking all this pain with Hennessy. I think that I'm crashing like a crash dummy.